Hello and a very good evening to the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel. Week 11 of the Premier League means the setting tonight is the Ahoy in Rotterdam. So ahoy hoy from the Ahoy, where they're about to hoy the darts at the board for the next few hours to see who comes out on top. After week 10 in Manchester, Nathan Aspinall got himself over the line. Brilliant performance from the Asp. As usual, exhausting to watch, but he got the job done. So who will triumph in Holland here tonight? Michael van Gerwen, the only Dutchman in the Premier League lineup. He will be the home favourite. There's lots of orange in the crowd, but MVG is not playing at his best at all, and he takes on Stephen Bunting in one of our 3 quarter-finals. Alongside me, Scotty Dog, Scotty Mitchell is with us as part of our team tonight. Paul Nicholson also will be commentating on matches with both myself and with Scott. How you doing, Scott? You well?
Very well, thank you, mate. I enjoyed my trip up to today and looking forward to this tonight.
Yeah, well, here we are in week 11, and just to remind everybody of how the table looks, Luke Littler looking for a 5th nightly win, which hasn't been done before since this format was changed a couple of years ago to have this tournament every night. So he's on 28 points. Luke Humphries, who's first up tonight against Chris Dobey in the first quarter-final, he's on 23. Then you've got 3 players on 15 points. In third, Gerwyn Price, then Nathan Aspinall, who leapfrogged MVG with that win. But it's MVG that everyone's looking at. He had that crick neck in Berlin, but he was trying to put a shirt on. So he had to withdraw from that. And he's not been playing well on the Pro Tour either, Scott. What's happening there, do you think?
Well, he hasn't, and I think if we look back, I think over the last sort of 6 months we've seen him struggling and starting to struggle with the bionics and the mechanics of his throw, and maybe it's coming to the fore now, maybe producing sort of an injury which he's kind of self-confessed to having a little bit of one. And I saw an interview the other day saying, where he used to throw with his finger hanging out, he can't do that anymore because of this certain injury or whatever's going on with his hand. So he was sort of asking the fans really to say, look, don't keep on about my old throw, please, because it's not possible for me to throw like that anymore.
Well, he went out of both Players' Championship events on Monday and Tuesday with less than 90 averages, which is a cause for concern. Elsewhere, there weren't many of the Premier League 8 taking part in Rosmalen on Monday and Tuesday, but there were 1 or 2 that did take part. Nathan Aspinall played on the Monday, but withdrew on the Tuesday with a slight shoulder problem. But this is what we've been talking about since Luke Humphries on stage on the Euro Tour, questioned his scheduling, whether he was playing too much darts. It's noticeable from this week with the 2 Pro Tour events how few of the Premier League 8 have turned up.
Yeah, and I think, in 2026, I think it's only going to be worse when all this prize money goes on the big 4 events to do with the PDC. These guys that are in the Premier League and the guys in the top sort of 8 or 10 really aren't going to have to turn up to too many Pro Tours because there's not a lot of value in it for them. Yes, okay, there's a few tournaments that come off the Pro Tour rankings, your Players' Championship and your UK Opens and stuff like that. But you're going to start seeing less and less of them from the way I see it.
Well, the wins went to Damon Heta and a revitalised Johnny Clayton in Rosmalen in those 2 Players' Championship events, and there are 2 names that could so easily have been in this year's Premier League 8. Johnny Clayton, now world number 4, has gone up a place with the win he got in Rosmalen, and he averaged over 100 for each of his games on Tuesday. So it's great to see the Ferret back in the sort of form that he was in 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Johnny was playing the BDO circuit as it was back then when he went over in 2014, and he's just turned himself into a player over there. He really has, and yeah, we can say the last couple of years we probably haven't seen the best of him. Maybe he had a change of dart, and some players take a little longer time to change a dart and get used to it, but whatever it is, I mean, it's just a fantastic performance from him on Tuesday, and Damon Heta, you've got to give him credit as well. He's come over a couple of years back, got his tour card, making a living at it. He's had to throw everything in one basket, similar to Whitlock did before him from Australia. you know, set up home over here, you know, brought his lovely wife over with him. It's so tough, and the pressure is so far on them, and now we're finding Damo is finding his feet, and I think he was really unlucky not to make the Premier League, I've got to be honest.
Well, he's 10th in the world now with that win on Monday, and looking at the race for the match play, because we're running out of events now where players can get the points to either climb the main order of merit or the current Pro Tour order of merit. And looking outside of the 32 players that are currently in line to go to Blackpool when we go there with talkSPORT 2 in July, there are some notable players who've got work to do. Michael Smith being the most prominent of them, but the Bully Boy is only, what, £4,000 or 4,000 points or so off getting involved. He's literally in the one place outside the 32 as things stand, but Bully Boy's had his problems too with illness and form. Yeah,
he has, but I mean, he's got to do something about it fast, because there isn't a lot of time now. There isn't a lot of tournaments to catch it. It sounds like a mediocre amount of money, but is he actually playing well enough to achieve it? That's the point. He's on a downward spiral. He again has said that he's sort of playing with a few injuries, and you know, the fans and people have said he should never have changed darts sort of 18 months ago, and he's saying it's not the dart, it is a physical injury, it's a problem that he's got, and he's determined to play his way through it, but sometimes you've just got to be given time, and the longer it goes on, the longer you wonder whether they're going to return to their former glory.
Some players are coming up on the rails. Just finally on the match play before we concentrate on tonight, Ian White has been playing some really good darts of late and isn't that far away. Connor Scott, who switched over, and he's playing on the Moda series that you commentate on, and has been a real live wire. Had a great UK Open as well. Well, there's still players like William O'Connor, he's not playing too badly at the moment either, the Magpie.
No, he's playing great. I think you're absolutely right. I think there's 3 or 4 that really are on the cusp, and they're sort of banging on the door to get in. So there's a couple of 3 that are already in and sat there waiting to go, under a bit of pressure from those 4 or 5 guys just outside. And this is what keeps all the players on their toes. There'll be some nervy games coming up in Pro Tours and TV events, because these are must-win games for them if they want to make sure they end up in Blackpool.
And we talk about a new era. I think back to the first 32 players that we saw when talkSPORT 2 was at the Winter Gardens back in 2018, and I look at the potential 32 that we have now as things stand, and there's a real perceptible shift in age as well as country. You know, you look at the improvements that the Netherlands have made, youngsters like Jan van Veen and Wessel Nijman, Mike de Decker, who won a major title last year. So the Netherlands is coming with a bit of a run, and then you've got players like Cameron Menzies, who I'm delighted to see near the top of the Pro Tour Order of Merit, who's such a great character. He'll be great fun in Blackpool.
He's a great character. I've actually played him in the British Open once back in the WDF days, and he made a mistake and he punched himself in the head so hard I thought he knocked himself out. I thought I was going to have to pick him up off the floor, but he absolutely battered me that day, and you knew from that day on that there were big things going to happen for Cammy Menzies.
So to tonight then, the first game will be getting underway in the next 4 or 5 minutes or so here on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel, and we will provide free watch-alongs of all 7 encounters this evening. So when we get to the second game, the second of the quarterfinals, then a new stream will pop up on the talkSPORT Darts feed. You can just click on that, and don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe, and spread the word about what we're doing here with the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel, because it's not just about our watch-alongs that we bring you here of events like the Premier League. And when we get to Blackpool, the World Match Play, we put lots of interview content up there as well. Our darts correspondent, Harry Durham, always very busy chatting away with the great and the good. He's been chatting with Willie Borland this week, who some of you may remember as the young Scot who hit that incredible, dramatic 9-darter at Ali Pali 4 or 5 years ago when he was up against Bradley Brooks in a deciding leg, in a deciding set, in a 9-darter. So you can catch that interview as well with Willie Borland on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel. We put lots of content up there for you. So first up tonight, Scott, we've got Luke Humphries, the world number 1 and former world champion, against Chris Dobey. And Dobey, I think it's fair to say that his Premier League, it's great to see him back, but his Premier League this year has been characterised by double trouble, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. I think that he knows that as well. He would have been working on that, but I think the Premier League is such a tough thing. There's nowhere to hide. You are playing those 8 players that every week are doing it week in, week out. And then when you start putting them together week in, week out, a dominant force becomes amongst them. And there comes a pecking order, like there does a Pride of Lions or whatever. And there seems to be now, by week 10, there's a pecking order arriving. And you've got to look at Humphries. He's averaging sort of 5 points higher than Dobey for the start of this Premier League. And so if you're a betting man, you wouldn't be looking against Humphries here. You wouldn't look against him at all.
This time last week, Luke Humphries in the quarter-final against Bunting hit a 118.4 average, which is the 3rd highest we've ever seen in the Premier League. And you know that he enjoys the fact that Luke Littler has taken a lot of the heat off Luke Humphries, and I think deep down he actually quite appreciates the fact that the spotlight is not so much on him and he can just get on with his darts.
Yeah, we all say that when it's happening for somebody else. I used to have to say that about some bloke called Durrant in the BDO. I'd rather, he's got 3 world titles. You couldn't be further from the truth, Dan. Honestly, right. We hate that.
See, the truth comes out on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel, and it's only taken us 10 minutes, and we've already got the truth out of Scotty Mitchell. Paul Nicholson's here as well. I'm sure he'll concur with that when talking about playing, I don't know, Taylor or somebody like that. But our first quarter-final is almost ready to get underway at the Ahoy Arena in Rotterdam, which is, as you can probably imagine, a sea of orange. So many decked out in the Netherlands colours to support their man Michael van Gerwen. He'll be up against Stephen Bunting in the 3rd quarter-final. We've also got Nathan Aspinall against Gerwyn Price, and the last quarter-final, Luke Littler, who we've just been talking about there, he will take on Rob Cross. And we shouldn't forget Cross has pulled out a couple of tournaments and has been readjusting his schedule of late as well, hasn't he, Voltage?
Yeah, end of last season I think he moved house as well, moved away from Sussex and up to Lincolnshire to have a better practice partner in Scott Williams. He's changed a few things and kind of reinvented himself, and he's on his way back again. I think the changes that he's made have worked, but of late I think the travel schedule, very difficult for these guys.
You can hear John McDonald, the MC, getting the locals wound up. Now I wonder what your average Rotterdam crowd would make of PJ and Duncan. Let's get ready to rumble. I bet that wasn't a hit in the Low Countries. I very much doubt it. But fresh from Newcastle's thumping win over Crystal Palace last night, I bet he found somewhere to watch that last night in Rotterdam. Chris Dobey, Hollywood, from Bedlington up in the northeast, making his way to the stage. Second bottom of the standings as we head into week 11. He's got 7 points. He reached the final early on in this tournament, which seemed to be a good portent of things to come, Scott Mitchell, but it just hasn't panned out that way for him.
No, it hasn't, and he knows he wants to show everybody what he's got. When you're a dart player of a certain talent, you love playing in front of people and you love playing in front of big crowds, so you want to show them what you've got, and he'll be kind of a little bit disappointed with the way that the Premier League has gone so far for him this time. But he's one of those that has the capability of sort of going through and winning a couple of these last 2 without a problem.
Well, he's a heavy scorer, but it's just about the outer ring where Dobey has just come up a little short at times. But 7 points, he can certainly get within striking distance of those in the top 4 if he can get the win tonight and get 5 points. Remember, if you win a quarter-final, you get 2 points guaranteed. If you then get through your semi-final, you get 3 points, but you only get the 5 if you go on and win the final. And here comes the world number 1 from Newbury in Berkshire, though he lives in a different part of the UK these days. Cool hand, Luke Humphries, on his way to the stage. All smiles, looking very, very relaxed. And he didn't go to Rosmarland for Players' Championship 13-14, so he'll be well rested, Scott, and ready for the onslaught of tonight.
Yeah, the way that I see Humphries, he's got a young family, and he's kind of doing it the right way for me. I think he's making sure that he gets enough time with his family to keep himself happy more than anything. And yeah, taking a couple of days off. If you're going to have a couple of days off, they're the ones to probably take off. So yeah, this is he's going to be in confident form. That 118, just so recently, just a week ago, there's nothing that scares him on this stage, without doubt.
Bunting just seems to walk into players who have magic nights in the Premier League against him every week, but Bunting does have points on the board, even though he's only got 5 points. Bunting, I think he's got a chance against MVG tonight for the reasons we were talking about earlier with Michael's recent averages, but that's to come. It is Dobey against Humphries first up, and as the dancers make their way off the stage, bedecked in orange themselves this evening, just to further blend in with the locals. Hollywood with his black and white dart shirt in homage to his beloved Newcastle United. Maybe Luke Humphries' Leeds United will be playing Newcastle next season if they can get it right over the course of the Easter bank holiday weekend. Really likeable chap, Chris Dobey. Well, they both are. And actually, Luke Humphries, since we've been doing darts on the radio, now darts on the tube, hello, since 2018, that really has been the time since when Luke Humphries reinvented himself, lost weight, sort of recalibrated his game, and has become the world #1 that he is today. It's been a really interesting career arc.
It really has, and I'm actually lucky enough to say that my daughter used to play in the same youth team as Luke for Hampshire, and so I've known him a bit longer than most, and he has just everything that he's done. It was all about evolving himself as a dart player, and when you talk about commitment as a player and you think, oh, that means you've got to practice and this, that and the other, no, it's more than that. He's dedicated his life to it, dedicated the way he looks to it, and it's working for him, and he's like you say, reinvented himself, and now he's right there and was #1 in the world.
So quarterfinal #1 is underway with Chris Dobey having the darts, and he pops in at 134. George Noble, you can hear our referee on the stage calling out the scores. Humphries in his mottled blue dart shirt with the Cool Hand logo on the back. It's 277 Humphries, 307 Dobey after 6 darts apiece, and Dobey comes up dry there, going around the board looking for a treble, but only picks up 57, whilst Humphries is down to a finish already after 9 in this opening leg. Dobey's got work to do here, Scott.
Yeah, he sure has. Humphries is against the darts as well, so this is the way it is here. You have one troublous visit when you're on throw and your opponent is all over you like a rash.
Well, Humphries can't take out 137, but he is down to a 2 dart. Well, he's down to tops. Dobey 156 won't go with a small 20, just under pitch for the first and the second dart. Can he readjust and get down to a 2 dart kill? Well, he's down to 96, which would be treble 20, double 18. Tops for Humphries to break the throw. Does it with the second dart of that visit. And the world #1 is already getting his nose in front against the darts.
Yeah, he sure is, Dance, and that's what he needed to do. He would have wanted to break throw nice and early. He now knows if he holds all his own throw, then he's safe and home and dry. That's all he's got to do now, is hold his throw. Dobey's got to break him.
Into leg 2 and a 140 for Humphries to get started. Dobey comes down to the 19s and picks off 4 of those. Luke is 11-7 up in the head-to-head, and he was almost 1-0 up in the 180s there, but the third dart deflected wildly away from the first 2 and gave him just a 140, but that's back-to-back 140s for Humphries. But yeah, 11-7 in the head-to-head. Dobey's last win was in the Players' Championship number 15 last July, just after the match play, when he beat Luke 6-4, but not the best of runs. That was his only winning 6 against Humphries, and he's shaking his head already, Dobey, as he again pops in a trebleless visit, leaving Humphries on 81 for the leg.
No need to go the ball route here, so he can just try and set it up for his favourite, and he's made a mistake there. He is human.
He was trying to set up for tops. He ended up hitting single one. So 51 for Humphries, 19 for double 16. He's hit double 19.
And that's come from the mistake, the dart before. He was then trying to make sure of the big 19.
Well,
but
he's got away with that.
Yeah, Dobey's back on 201, so he's not close enough to do anything about it. Dobey here would just be trying to throw 3 sort of practice darts for freedom. He hit a 180.
And he gets it.
Because it doesn't matter. He doesn't think he's getting back.
Our first max of the night, but it's all academic. I think Humphries bends the wire on double 4. Goes outside, still a dart left, and he's inside. Now Dobey does have a chance to break back. 21 left for Hollywood. Where's he going? 5 for double 8. 2 darts in hand. An inch outside. Is it a blocker? No, it's not. He's levelled it up, 1 apiece. And I bet Dobey wasn't thinking that was going to happen 90 seconds ago, and a shake of the head from Humphries confirms that. 1-1.
But you can understand why he's shaking his head. You would have never, a month ago, that would have never happened to him. Never. So Humphries is basically, that's turned the game on its head. That's given Dobey a bit of momentum. He's won a leg he shouldn't have, but it won't matter. It's given him momentum and belief that he can win more legs in this match.
Now it's Humphries that's popping in the trebleless visits with a 59 visit to start leg 3. Remember, it's a race to 6. First to 6 goes through to the semi-finals, where the winner will play the winner of Aspinall against Price. That is next up. Paul Nicholson will join Scott Mitchell for our free watch-along of that particular quarter-final tie. Dobey from 3-4-4 pops in his second maximum. Told you he was a heavy scorer. Puts him down on a finish too.
And here we go once again. He's on 164. Humphries on 393. And that whole leg has been a momentum changer, definitely.
First part of 164 done, and the second. It just lays it up though with a 132 to leave himself on double 16. And he can afford himself a smile, Dobey, because Humphries is not back on the finish. Now, you want to make sure that this leg doesn't mirror the last leg in terms of the guy with the darts missing out. But he's got it right on double 16. So Dobey has a 2-1 lead in Rotterdam. We're into leg 4 with Humphries having the darts.
This is all about Humphries now, and if he's allowing that second leg mishap to affect him, because it can keep going through your mind, particularly if Dobey can stay on top of him. He'll start thinking back to that moment and going, just let the game go there. But he's not usually one that dwells, Humphries. He usually, when his mind is right, he lets them go as quick as they happened.
Well, this is part of his recalibration, because he used to be like that. Very much used to be a head shaker. Like his namesake, Luke Woodhouse. Still kind of is now. When I see Luke playing from Bewdley, he admonishes himself all too quickly. I think Luke Humphries used to do that too. He's only averaging just a shade over 90, Luke, but then so is Dobey, as he comes down to the 19s from 308. Not quite on a finish yet, so Humphries just ahead, 204 to 215 in this fourth leg. Dobey 2-1 up, and Humphries down to a finish of 110.
Yeah, desperately needed that last treble 18 there. If he'd have gone trebleless there, he'd have given Dobey a big opportunity to jump on him with 2 trebles, but now, because he hit that last dart treble, Dobey hasn't.
50 left for Humphries, 18 leaves double 16 for 2-2, just wires it on the outside, but Dobey is not on a finish. 172 won't go. 2 darts in treble 20 though, and that's a really nice layup from Dobey. Now, can Humphries get this right on throw? He does this time, pins double 16 in exactly the same hole that the last dart went in there, and we've got a level game on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel, 2 apiece.
Absolutely. When you look at the tournament average for these two, with Humphries running at 99 average and Dobey's running at 94 for the tournament, you would say that this should be an easy walkover for Humphries, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be. One, he hasn't got the darts, so that changes the aspect of it all. And 2, Dobey's got to play a little bit better, because Humphries is who he is. You step your game up against the bigger players.
Trebleless visit for Dobey. First 2 darts were really underpitched at the red bit, and he came down to 17s but couldn't find a treble. Humphries finds 2 treble 19s to get himself near to a finish. Luca's beaten Chris in all 3 meetings so far in the Premier League as Dobey pops in a max to pressurise Humphries, gets down to a finish. But the interesting thing is, despite losing all 3 matches, he had a better average than Humphries in 2 out of those 3 games. That is what says to me that it's his doubling that's been his downfall.
And when you do get on a run like that with a player, you tend to find that the day that you break the run is usually on your worst game of all the ones that he's been beating you on.
Right. Humphries can't take out 186, whilst Dobey has popped himself down to double 16 to retake the lead.
Humphries left himself on a bogey there. That's bad counting, but it doesn't matter anyway.
Better from Dobey on the outer ring, and his checkout percentage at the moment is 50%. That's far more healthy than we've seen from Hollywood in recent times.
Yeah, he's been on about 35-36% for the tournament, and yeah, if he can be finishing up around the 50% mark, you know, you're giving yourself chances and you're going to be in the game no matter what.
Remember, Dobey and Bunting both very much adrift of those above them in the table. And Humphries, actually, he's starting to have a go at himself here with another trebleless visit. And Dobey in for another max. He's got another max. He's definitely leading that particular charge. 4 180s in this encounter. And the Humphries throw is under pressure again here. 2-2-1 plays 3-0-2 in favour of Dobey. And he's in the red bit again. Looking for another max. Just deflects below, but he's down to a finish of 81. And Humphries has got work to do here.
Yeah, this is what happens in a match of this style. When you're throwing second all the time, even if you hold throw after throw, it always feels like when you're the second player, you're chasing the match. And sometimes you're not, but mentally it turns it into that.
Oh, he's missed double 12 and hit single 9. It won't affect him immediately because Humphries is still back on 2-0-2, but Dobey's now got to decide how he's going to split 15 to take out leg 6 for a 4-2 lead. Is he looking at 3? No, he's looking at 7 for double 4. And pins double 4. And again, his checkout percentage is pretty solid. And he's got a 2-leg lead and has the darts. 4-2 up as we move into leg 7. First to 6, remember.
There's another thing here that could be coming into the fact that there's been a bit on social media about Humphries this last week as well, since the last one, about how he's approaching the busy schedule and how it's affected him mentally. And I wonder whether maybe he should have kept that a bit more in-house over the week before this Premier League. Who knows? Maybe that's affected him as well.
Remains to be seen. Dobey went to play in Rosmarland, just over the border, and he went out despite posting averages of 99 and 103 on Monday and Tuesday. And he's in for a 5th max. 5-zip in terms of 180s to Dobey over Humphries. Down to 204. Humphries could get half a dart ahead, and he puts a nice 140 in, so he's down to a finish to try and break back here. 204 left for Dobey. Single 1 and single 20. Got to find a treble, and he goes downstairs and picks off treble 19 to give him a finish. Treble 17 for Humphries would leave the bull. 84 left. And he's back to 64.
Yeah, I like that route. He didn't try and do anything silly with going 25 ball first time. Single one of those. Bullseye.
For 5-2 for Chris Dobey. He's 1 away from knocking out the world number 1 and giving himself at least a couple of points to add to his tally. Not quite dead centre of the ball, but pretty damn close to it. So Chris Dobey.
I'd like to see you take your glasses off and put it any more central down.
I could not. No. But there are some players like Littler, when he hits the balls, it looks like it's going to go through the centre of the board and into another dimension. Yeah,
absolutely. And those shots where you get left on the bullseye, when you're 4-2 up, they tend to drop in. If you're 4-2 down, they tend to whisker the wire.
Humphries scrapping away here in leg number 8, knowing he cannot make any errors from here on in, otherwise he's out at the quarter-final stage. Dobey from 2-7-1, starting on the 19s, gets 6 of them, and ends up with 7 of them. But again, that's got him down to a finish of 138. Humphries can't take out 160, so Dobey could have darts for the match here, Scott.
He could indeed. They tend to go 19s now. Another one of those. Not to be. 62 left, goes across to the treble 10. Go for another treble 19, leave 24. But this is a big moment.
Tops for Humphries to stay in the game. No, double 10. Yeah, he's pinned that. So he's on throw back to 5-3, but now Dobey has the darts to serve it out. His beloved Newcastle scored 5 last night. Can he score 6 and get through to the semi-finals? Couldn't have started any better with a max. And he's now 6-0 up on maximums against Humphries.
Yeah, like you said, if you looked at all the averages and all the stats before the match, you wouldn't have given him a hope. But Humphries here has not quite been at the races. Although he hasn't been allowed to be at the races. Dobey has been that good.
Well, Dobey's average is now nudging just over 100 with the form he's showing now. Trebleless visit for Humphries. He looks resigned. He looks like he knows that the die is cast here.
He looks like he just wants to get off of that stage, doesn't he? I've had moments like that myself. It is horrible. When you feel it's not going well, you're just stood there. You'd go 2 legs before you would if you could. It's a horrible, horrible thing. It's a great place to be, the stage, when you're winning, but when you're at your lowest, it's hard. 70
left for Dobey with 2 darts in hand for the match. Goes treble 18, double 8 for the match. Just on the wire on the outside, but he'll be back with Humphries still on 201.
You'd think these are his last darts.
Well, he's not down to a 2-dart kill, Humphries, so Dobey 3 darts in hand for a 6-3 victory. Double 8 needed. Double 8 hit. Well played, Chris Dobey. 100 average and 6 maximums to Luke Humphries, 0. A comprehensive 6-3 win for Hollywood to get through to the semi-finals tonight and to already notch himself a crucial 2 points to try and get himself in touch with those in the top 4 of the Premier League. Well played, Chris Dobey.
Yeah, he really needed that. One, he needed it for points on the table, and secondly, he needed it for confidence. He needs it for himself.
So, a ton plus average for Chris Dobey will take him through to the semi-final, where he will play either Nathan Aspinall or Gerwyn Price, who are up next. And Paul Nicholson will join Scotty Dog, Scott Mitchell, here on the talkSPORT Darts YouTube channel. We'll put up a new stream for you that you can watch for that particular game. Just click on that and Paul and Scotty will guide you through that in a moment. But Luke Humphries is through by a score of, rather, should I say, Luke Humphries is out as Chris Dobey goes through with a score of 6 legs to 3 in Rotterdam. And let me remind you that when it comes to the Darts Premier League, the last thing that you want is an online mishap throwing you off your game. That's where NordVPN's threat protection throw steps up to the hockey. Just think of it as your personal referee, keeping dodgy websites and malware and phishing scams from sneaking into your setup. It even blocks those pesky ads you get so you won't get distracted mid-leg. All you've got to do is go to nordvpn.com/dartsvpn and you get 2 years plus 4 months free and a birthday deal as well. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Stick with us. Paul and Scott will guide you through Aspinall against Price next on week 11 of the Premier League in Rotterdam.